lit, 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 E-lit, T-lit, lit, lit. W is for the webinars we create. Attending those sessions, ideas communicate. E stands for education, it's a must. Lifelong learning, a concept you can trust. L is just a letter, it equals literary. It's not just read and write, it's how we relate. These skills can't be learned in a classroom. They are life lessons, reading from birth to tomb. Intelligence is key, that's why we need the IUCT. You can't forget the T. It stands for teach and learn, automatically.
We lit! Welcome back, We Lit crew. So today we're going to talk about creative writing. And to take a few words from Albert Einstein, he said, imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited. Imagination encircles the world. So to write a great creative writing piece, imagination is essential. But sometimes as a parent, you could feel really stressed. You may feel, I do not know how to help my child with creative writing. Or are you a teacher? Do you feel like pulling out every hair on your head? You may be able to teach maths, grammar, science, but for some reason, you are unable to help students come up with creative ideas. Well, if that is the case with you, have no fear. Today, we will present you with many practical suggestions. So first of all, let's think about a light bulb. A light bulb is waiting to be turned on in order to get light. So too, our students are waiting to be turned on. They are waiting for us to tap into them to get a lot of bright, brilliant ideas. The question that arises, how do we get them to think? Well, first, reading the topic is very essential. And how many times should they read the topic? Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Why is that important? Well, as they read the topic over and over, they can circle the important words. And we can take, for example, a student or child who listens to a song played over and over on the radio. After a while, he remembers the song. He remembers the main points in the song. So too, when they read a question over and over and underline the key points, they remember what is required of them and they're able to do just that. Let's take, for example, an essay entitled A Day at the Beach. So your child has to write the story. It may seem daunting at first, but it should not be. All they need to do is underline the keywords. What are the keywords? Day and beach. Day, because it is one day in particular, and beach, because that is the location they will be writing on. Point number 2, set a time. Why do they do that? Well, as they set a timer for 5 to 15 minutes, everything that comes up in their mind about the day at the beach, they should jot it down. They should keep writing ideas down until they have met their goal. 3, what is required? Make a daily log. Well, what really is a daily log? Well, a student can write everything that happened during the course of the day. Every and anything is important for this daily log. 4, observe people. We can always observe people. By watching people, this is truly fascinating. We can see their manners, we can see their actions, we can even describe them. We can even understand why they behave the way they do. If students were to observe and jot down the main points, this will help with their creative juices. A next positive thing you can do is to ask your child what actions and manners they observe from people. As you ask them that question, pause. Allow them to give a chance to answer the question. You don't answer the question, allow them to answer the question. And this brings us to point number 5. You know, children could be so fed up being in a classroom. And during this pandemic, many of them are shut in at home. A good thing to do is to carry your children out in nature. Teachers, leave the classroom and head out on a field. A trip in nature can be truly helpful. What can a trip in nature truly accomplish? Well, as they walk outside, they can pay attention to what they see, what they hear, and what they smell. Allow them to describe color, taste, texture, shapes. This truly opens their minds to things they may not have considered in the past, and thus help them to be creative in their story writing. Number 6, relaxation. We could never underestimate the importance of good relaxation. You see, when a child is stressed and not relaxed, he cannot think a lot of thoughts. Sometimes his thoughts may be jumbled, confusing, but when he is relaxed, so much could be derived from that. So what are some things your child loves to do? Teachers, what are some things your students love to do? Could we get them in a relaxed setting, probably in a savanna as is depicted, or probably at the seashore sometimes? Yes, we can take our class to a different location, a location that would stimulate their thinking, their thinking abilities. So if tensions are running high, should we continue? No, we should stop and allow the child to become relaxed. Point number 7, artwork photography. Pictures paint 1,000 words. So just by showing a child a picture, we can allow them to give us points to tell us what they think about that picture. And that truly opens their mind to a different world. So let's take magazines. We have newspapers. We may have plenty pictures at home, pictures of vacations. Might it be that we can ask the child to give us some ideas about what they think is happening in the picture? That would be truly helpful. What about the role friends and family can play? Point number 8. Well, friends and family can share insightful information with students. So we can set aside an afternoon every week to share stories with family, nice anecdotes that children can truly benefit from. Probably adults can start with, when I was a kid, I loved doing X, Y, and Z. And the children can say, when I grow up, I would love to do X, Y, and Z. Those meaningful conversations can truly help improve the creativity of your child. And what about travel? Well, travel opens our eyes to the way people live. Many people live differently to us, but we are in a pandemic. So sometimes we cannot take a trip. Maybe we can take a virtual trip and allow children to talk about all that they see. Even right here on YouTube, there are many videos where persons went on different trips to different countries. Maybe we can look at it together and students can get ideas from these very short clips. Point number 10, invite your child's friend over. And we know children love their friends. They love to line with their friends. But when their friends come over to play, do we take the opportunity to have little talk sessions with them to draw them out where they feel comfortable among their friends? Do we use the games that they play as a nice avenue that they can get ideas for their creative writing? So if it's a boy and he loves gaming, is there something in the game we can tap into that would help them to be more progressive? Or probably because of the pandemic, we are inside. Could we hold a Zoom meeting where ideas can be shared? That would be a practical suggestion. Point number 11, book clubs. So what really is a book club? Well, a book club really is where books are read and then discussions are had on those books. Probably you can join your child in a book club or create one at home. What about a Sunday afternoon where persons could read a book and then discuss it? Do you know that there are brilliant ideas that can be derived from discussing a book in a book club? Sure. And point number 12, one that we should never forget. Read ads, comics, and the lifestyle sections in newspapers and other magazines. You see, especially with boys, they may not read a lot of books, but they may read comics. From the artist expressions in these comics, don't you think your son could learn a lot of ideas, creative ideas, imaginative ideas? Yes, definitely he would benefit. And point number 13, dreams. You know, we all dream sometimes when we go to bed. And dreams are so good that many times we get up and we may say, if you see the nonsense I dreamed last night. But we don't need to consider it as nonsense. We can encourage our child to talk about their dreams. Ask them, what did you dream last night? Probably you can tell them what you also dreamt last night. As they think about these dreams and talk about it and jot down points from these dreams, it helps them to create ideas for their own story. Point number 14, free writing. Well, free writing is a little different from journal writing. You see, free writing starts with a thought. So you can just come up with any word, probably Savannah. Then, what thoughts can come in my mind from Savannah? Could I describe the Savannah? Is it that people were playing in the Savannah? What actually happened in the Savannah? Did somebody get injured in the Savannah? What did they do after the person was injured? So by just calling a word, a simple word like Savannah, a lot of thoughts and ideas could be bubbling up in the mind. And you as a parent can have the skill to discern those thoughts and draw them out. Point number 15, simple. Ask what if. Can you create scenarios and just ask, what if? What if you were walking down the road and you met a stranger? What if a man tried to rob you? What would you do? Questions like these, posed to children, both by teachers and by parents, allow them to think. You see, creative writing is really about thinking. So once we get them into the habit of thinking, we're getting somewhere. We are making some movements, and thus we can help them come up with their own creative ideas in the future. Point number 60. A point that we do not want to forget. All stories have to have a problem. And these problems must be solved. So an interesting thing to do, because many students have difficulty in creating that problem. An interesting thing to do is to bring up a problem. Bring up a problem that exists at home. Maybe the toilet is not working, the plumbing is not good. That's a problem. Maybe the dog is not feeling well at home. That also is a problem. Maybe a child does not like to do schoolwork. That too is a problem. Allow the student to create ideas to fix these problems that occur right at home. And that is where their story could begin. So by you creating this problem and allowing them to think about how they can solve this problem, you are in effect teaching them how to effectively write a story. Point number 70. Teach your child to create a conflict. Each story have a conflict. So how can you do that? Very simply at home or at school. Allow two students to have two different points of views on a topic. One say yes, one say no. One say I agree, one say I don't agree. Allowing this to happen would help students to see that conflict exists and that conflict can always be resolved. Doing this helps them to see how they can create a conflict in their own story. So rather than agreeing with everything they see, create a conflict. So the child says, Mommy, I want to buy biscuit today. You say, no, buy an apple. No, Mommy, I want a biscuit. No, I said buy an apple. In that way, you create a conflict. Then you show how the conflict can be resolved. Okay, probably today you can eat biscuits and tomorrow you eat an apple. Haven't we now resolved issues and we teaching our kids how to resolve issues? Yes, we are. And doing so will definitely help them in their creative writing process. This is exactly what we want from this procedure. Point number 18. Enroll them in a class or hobby. And we can understand why that will be useful, because as they join a hobby or join a class, they meet other students with different ideas. And as ideas are shared, they look at things from a different perspective. This truly can give them ideas for their creative writing piece. So the next time your child comes running home and says, Mommy, you know what happened today in football? You listen. You don't shut them up. You listen to allow them to share with you their ideas. And then you say, how could you use that in a creative writing piece? Do you think you could describe the ball, the goal, how happy you felt? Yes, when you do that, you are truly teaching them to create well in their essays and stories. Point number 90. We can have sessions where we pretend to be someone else for an afternoon. Maybe a doctor. What about a manual laborer? What about someone who is differently abled? That might definitely help. Point number 20. Ask what happens next. We all who write stories know that there's a part of the story where you create a problem and then you say what happened next. So you can train your children in advance for that paragraph in the story. Ask what happened next. So they come home with a very interesting story. Ask, so what happened next, John? As you ask that question, you allow them to come up with what can happen next. And this teaches them how to develop on an idea. And sometimes too, point number 21, they may be watching a movie. The movie ends abruptly. It says to be continued. Should you wait till next week? No. You seize the opportunity to get them to think. So you ask them, okay, what do you think could happen next? Finish the story for me. What do you think eventually happened? Did the man die? Did he get married? What happened? Doing so allows them to see how they can finish a story. Do not be in the habit of always telling them what you think would happen. Get into the habit of asking them what they think would happen. And point number 22, our final point. This is very essential. You see, all around us, there are objects. We have abandoned buildings. We have buses. We have glassware at home in the kitchen. We may have trains in our countries. These are practical objects. We can stop and ask them, describe the color. What do people do in them? How fast do they go? Doing so helps the child to think. Always remember, we want them to describe completely in the stories. So ask them, what is the color? What is the size? What is the shape? How does it feel? Asking these questions truly can help your child. So in conclusion, creative writing is not a crash course. It is not a subject you learn overnight for exams. And those of you all who live in Trinidad, you all know about the SEA exam. It is not a subject to be crammed a month before the SEA exam or the CXC exam or any other exam. It is a skill that requires diligent and consistent effort. You can do it. Don't worry, you got this. In fact, we can do it together. Okay, bye for now. Don't forget to subscribe, to like, and to click that notification bell because I will be uploading much more interesting videos. Bye.